Yes, we are live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 16th episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and I have gathered a stout list of topics for today's show, but an even better list of incredible guests. Some are returning, and two are making their first appearance on the show. So without further ado, let me introduce everyone. First up, making her fourth guest appearance, and she is an integral part of the Game Dosage podcast, Prival Eve. How's everything, darling?
Doing pretty good. Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be back here again. And thank you so much for having me. It's definitely one of my favorite things of waking up to on a Friday morning.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's, again, fellow New Yorker in the house. I definitely appreciate you having your coffee and getting on the show. It's great to have you. Following her is a man who is an awesome part of the RDX podcast and has the entire Sesh empire at his beck and call. So he will throw you a beatdown if you get in his way. So Shady, welcome to the show. It's your first one. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you, Boom. I appreciate being here. It is early for me, needless to say. I live out on the west, and I normally go to bed maybe 2 hours before you go live, but I thought I'd make the exception to show up here. It is a fantastic panel. You got a great set of questions or topics to go with, and it's an honor to be here. I can't wait to get into this show.
Well, I appreciate you going to bed early and getting up early, so thanks again for that. And next up is another person making his first appearance. He's known as the most powerful gamer in the universe, collector of everything He-Man, and an old school cat gamer like me. He-Bot, welcome, dude. I'm really glad we were able to get you on the show. I've been looking forward to hanging out with you and talking games.
Oh, and the honor is, the pleasure is absolutely all mine. It feels great to be here, first of all. I know it's a little early, so I commend you and hat tip to you and the panel, because this is not an easy thing to get together, I'm pretty sure. But I gave you my word, and I've been looking forward to being here for quite some time. So I'm just ecstatic to be able to, to keep up with my word and actually appear on your show. I think we'll have good conversation because the topics look interesting, to say the least. And it's so nice to be part of a panel with new people that I really haven't had the chance to really commemorate with and talk with. Like So Shady is my first time meeting him, and Primeva is a sweetheart. I had a chance to talk to her not too long ago in Micropod. So it's great to be here. Good morning. Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to Desayuno with Boom.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. We do have one other panel member, and that is also known as the Italian Clowns. He's running a bit behind. He might be looking for a calzone, but when he comes on, I'll give him his proper introduction. But let's get right into these topics. When I do these shows, I don't want to do topics that everyone else is doing. I mean, we're going to talk about a few things that have been on shows, but I like making everything fun. If you hear the fire engine behind me there, at least my house isn't burning down. But the first
somebody else's is.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? Listen, I'm doing a live show. Burn down tomorrow. The first topic is we're going to talk about Capcom, and we were talking pre-game, me and So Shady, about this. Capcom is one of the pillars of this industry that have in recent times haven't had a lot of success. But recently, since the release of Resident Evil 7, the company is flying high by the seat of their pants. And in a recent article, Capcom is now interested in bringing back older IPs from their fantastic catalog of classic franchises, according to Game Informer, Screen Rant, and IGN, who did stories. This is what Capcom had to say on the matter when talking about the Resident Evil 2 remake and the future of the company. So just kind of I want to read a small paragraph. According to a spokesperson for Capcom, this is what they had to say. It was received very well at E3, and in order to tie this first success to actual sales, we are working out our promotional strategy, stated Capcom in their financial review. Further, regarding remakes and re-releases of titles in our back catalog, we expect to explore further with a variety of properties as part of our strategy to utilize our library of IPs. Now, the question that I'm going to start posing to not only the chat, but also the panel, and I'm going to go to So Shady first. What classic Capcom game, in your opinion, needs the same Resident Evil 2 remake, and what would you choose if you were making this decision?
Oh man, that's a big one, considering their catalog is very deep, and I played a lot of their games. I'm gonna throw it out there and say I would like to see a full-blown, crazy well done Mega Man. It's not the same type of remake as the Resident Evil you just gave the example of, but I'm playing Dead Cells right now, and that game is so on point. It feels fantastic to play. I want to see that come to Mega Man. The same thing with Shovel Knight. I played that a little while ago as well, and it just played so good and made me feel, remembering what Mega Man used to make me feel when I was younger. I loaded up one of the Mega Man, I think it was 7 actually, through Game Pass, and just got my ass handed to me on how difficult that game is. It was so hard. And I just, not that I don't want the game to be hard, because Dead Cells is damn difficult. I just want the game to have a modern feel where it just feels really tight, whereas those old Mega Man games, they feel old still. They're just very stiff to me, and that's where some of the difficulty lies. So I'd like to see that kind of come along. And then as for a big AAA game, I'd like to see, it's not too old, but I'd like to see Lost Planet just get crazy cranked out for modern consoles. I think it would look amazing with all that weather, the big monsters. I love mechs and getting into mechs and just wrecking stuff. So I'd like those two.
Okay, those are fantastic choices. Eve, I'm going to go to you next. You've played games for a while. In your opinion, what do you think needs and deserves, more specifically, for Capcom to go back in their back catalog, pull it out from the depths, and give it that Resident Evil 2 remake treatment? I mean, we can come back to you.
No, it's I have like quite a few. Like, of course, like if you want to follow the Resident Evil trend, of course, I would love to see 4. I would love to see 4 get almost a Resident Evil 7 treatment. As far as going back a little bit further, Shady had it with Lost Planet. I would love to see another Lost Planet. Onimusha is also
that you took one right into you pulled
mine. That would yeah. I would be so happy and so excited. It's been, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years since the last one came out. I haven't actually played one since the PlayStation 2 era with Demon Siege, where they had Jean Reno. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right or
Jean
not.
Reno. Yes, Jean Reno. Yes.
I absolutely I absolutely loved it. But yeah, there's a lot of titles that I could. Yeah, Capcom's pretty big. Dino Crisis would be another one I would like to see.
Strong title. Strong.
I'm a huge point and click person. So I would really like to see an Ace Attorney on the Xbox and not just the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you know what? Listen, there's a place for that game in every console. I agree with you.
Yeah, I could go on and on and on, but definitely I think Lost Planet and Onimusha are probably my 2 top ones I would love to see.
Nice. Very, very nice. Good choices, too. You stole both of mine. Damn it. Hebot, I'm going to go to you, brother, because like I said, you're an older gamer like me. You appreciate the classics. You have you understand where we came from.
Oh, yeah.
What would be your personal favorite choice for Capcom to remake?
Well, my answer is probably going to not be as favored as maybe Primeva's and So Shady's, because, like you said, I am old school. So my heart is where it all started. So, as you know, like So Shady so elegantly put it earlier, Capcom has a very vast library of a lot of IPs, existing ones and ones that some people probably never even heard of. But we had the privilege to know because we were there from day one when it all started, whether it was in the arcade or in the Atari era, whatever. So a lot of people that follow me know I'm a big beat 'em up fan. Okay. Right. And beat 'em ups is going. And beat 'em ups it's a genre that, to be honest, it has been forgotten, but it has never been tackled quite correctly on either 3D format or a mixture of both 2D and 3D, with the exception of some smaller studios in the indie space, obviously. You know, and being that, you know, it's a genre that should have a second chance or a second win, if you would, especially for the newer generation, because a lot of these kids now only know what they see on a daily, you know?
Right, that's correct.
It's not like us that we had so much, you know, options, you know, and no matter what it was, you know, we tried it, you know, whether we liked it or not, you know, that came later. I would love to see personally a new, maybe Captain Commando.
Oh, that's a good one, dude. Nice, real nice.
But tackled in, you know, with the, you know, quality, obviously, of games of today, with good cinematic, good gameplay mechanics, different styles of gameplay mechanics in a 3D form with 2D mixture, and maybe have a AAA quality. I know that's a big risk because beat 'em ups are probably basically our dying breed and probably not even remembered by many. Especially with generations of kids today or gamers today in general. That would be my personal want, because of, you know, where I came from, my roots. But they can definitely go back to not only things like, you know, Prime Eva said, Onimusha, but they can go back to things like Dino Crisis, you know, or even in the same genre also with Final Fight, a properly made, you know, Final Fight.
Yes, I thought that's what you were going to say was Final Fight. We were talking
Final Fight. Yeah, Final Fight.
Give me Hagar. Let me suplex a couple of punks.
That's and I'm right. Happy. And, you know, it's just like, you know, it's very hard to even remember all their IPs because we've been doing this so long, especially myself. I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I'm pretty sure your Boom can relate, and Eva as well. I'm pretty sure all you can, but I think any one of those, you know, see, if I may add a little extra, the Capcom did something right that no one's done, because Capcom, as you all know, we're on the verge of bankruptcy, right?
Yes, that is correct. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes. And they had people that had the opportunity to buy and made offers. And I don't know what are the rules and restrictions because they are a Japanese-based company. I don't know what happened and why weren't they, but they weren't. Okay. And they did the most intelligent thing any company could do when they're basically hanging by a nail, right? Or a little piece of skins, you know, so to speak. They started the generation bringing back games that haven't been seen in a very long time at an affordable price with some type of tweaks and remastering to bring the appeal. And because they did this with Resident Evil, right? As you know, they followed suit with Resident Evil Zero. Right. Those games haven't been released since the GameCube, ever.
That's right.
So when they reintroduced that, they started to make that money and that cash flow started coming in. And then once they did those steps or baby steps, they went with a whole new redone and took a risk with Resident Evil 7, which I also own, seen my son play, haven't touched it yet, but it looked incredible. So I think if more companies follow suit with what they were doing, like Capcom and Sega, especially because I'm a big Sega fan, this would work for them because the nostalgia right now is high with these type of things.
Yes.
And they did it right. They did it fair, respecting the gamer because they gave an appropriate price, not like Activision that they sold you Deadpool again with nothing in it, just a higher resolution for $60 or $50 when you already owned it for $360 and it could have easily been backwards compat. And I'm sorry, I know it's a mouthful, but that's just something I wanted to add on there. So yeah, those were my preferred that come to mind. But I'm so surprised. Things like, you know, the coin and click, like Prime even said with Ace Attorney would be nice to see because it's never been on platform. It's always been on DS, I believe, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Boom.
All right. Well, the two that I want to throw out there, you know, Eve took my 2 best ones, so I'm gonna go into the bullpen now. Okay. I would like to see them, and I would be actually happy with an HD version, but I'd like to see them come out with a proper 3 of it. Power Stone was fantastic on the Dreamcast. Another Dreamcast classic that has not been redone that probably should get a redo or a Resident Evil 2 remake situation. It would be Resident Evil Code Veronica was fantastic. Another classic one. And the last one I want to do, because this again, it could come out in an HD format and I would play them like they were new because they are fantastic. Beautiful Joe.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes.
Another strong, hand-drawn, 2D, beautiful looking
by Platinum Games
game. Yeah, I mean, don't be surprised that I'm going to say this. I think, to be completely honest, knowing Capcom and the way that they were really taken aback. And I've read multiple interviews with plenty of people from Capcom. Their team behind Resident Evil 2 were so emotional that they couldn't even be interviewed because they were not only nervous that the game was going to be up on stage, on Sony's stage, but the fan reaction was just so overwhelming that, according to some interviewers, they couldn't even be spoken to. They were so emotional because I remember this game has been in development for quite some time. You got to remember, a lot of people don't know this. This game had almost 3 development cycles. They tried it in first person and it didn't work. They tried it in fixed camera, and because people were, we want the fixed camera, and that just failed horribly. And then when they finally play tested it with fans over the shoulder, like in Resident 4, everyone was like, okay, this is great. This is what we want, and that's how we got what we got. That'll be coming out in January. A lot of people don't know that. But I want to segue into and keeping with the Capcom flavor, because to my surprise and to many gamers' surprise, the proper Dante was shown on the Microsoft stage in the form of Devil May Cry 5, and this is coming off of a game from Ninja Theory a couple of years ago that did not go over well with fans. DMC Devil May Cry. I mean, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed it, but the way that they changed Dante, their interpretation was, I think it was too Americanized, if I may be so bold, as opposed to the Dante that we know and love, right? The one that we saw, on the PlayStation and made its way over to the PlayStation 2. Or I'm sorry, on the PlayStation 2, we got Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3, and I think 4 came later. So this is actually a proper sequel to 4, which in my opinion might be the best of the bunch. I mean, 3 was good, but 4 was fantastic. Eve, I want to go to you. My question to you regarding Devil May Cry, was this the right move for Capcom to continue the DMC series with the proper Dante and continuing it with 5 rather than starting all over again like they did with DMC?
Absolutely. I'm a big DMC fan. I've played them all multiple times. I think when I played DMC, I wasn't playing as Dante. It was some guy named Dante. It was weird. It was like I absolutely loved the game. It was a really fun game. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the Dante. So having them go back and kind of revision everything to the original Dante is a very smart move, because there are actually a lot of people who didn't like DMC because of that.
Right.
He wasn't really Dante. Like, okay, his little cocky attitude here and there. Yeah, of course. He's a ladies' man. The beginning of, I remember the opening of DMC where his clothes are being put on. Like, it was kind of weird. I don't know, but it just made me think that it was just some other fun character that they created.
Well, you remember when the wig fell on his head? It kind of did like, I would never wear my hair like this. This is ridiculous. It's silly.
Right? Exactly. It was like a punk ass teenage Dante, which I don't want to see that. I want to see Dante mature and you know, take on everything that we've already been through with him and carry on. So yeah, I think it's it's a great idea to go back to that. I'm very excited for Devil May Cry 5.
Yes. So you know what? Like I said, it showed very well at E3. I was very surprised to see it up on Microsoft stage. Hebot, I'm going to go to you again, old Capcom fan, returning to the Dante that we all know and love.
Right.
Do you think that this was the right move for Capcom to do? Because apparently it seems like they can't make a wrong move. And I agree with this 1000%. But what's your take on this?
Well, for them, it's absolutely the right move because, like I said, right now it's about the nostalgia factor. I said this earlier. And plus, you know, I feel that, how can I explain this without insulting anyone, right? The reasoning for Devil May Cry to begin with, going on a different route, was because it wasn't selling anymore. You know what I mean? The sales were low. If my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, it took a little bit of a dive. Yeah,
before. And not to say that 4 was a bad game, because it wasn't. It was a good game. I own it in all iterations when they reintroduced it, still to this day, as I'm pretty sure most of you as well. And I didn't mind the change because to keep things fresh, you have to kind of evolve them and change them. But I understood wholeheartedly, right, why the fans, the hardcore fans, didn't appreciate the new style, because he was more of a punk rock style. So what you said is a fair assessment. It was more like an American feel to it as opposed to a more Japanese anime style.
Yes. So
he did feel more punk rocky as opposed to the original was more gothic and dark. And I think that maybe when they added those things, like you said, when the hair, you know, the wig fell on top of him, they started with this ridiculously thing, you know, this way. I think that kind of got the fans mad because it felt like an insult. Like, hey, you're disrespecting where this came from. So I definitely understand. But I think it was purposely. It was done deliberately because they didn't want to take themselves seriously. Ninja Theory was still trying to find their identity because at that point, none of the games, still to this point until Hellblade, none of the games have sold well, even though they've done really good work and tried in the past. So they were trying to find their own identity by being bold and taking risk. And I think that's why they did that. So I commend them for trying, you know, for at least trying, Capcom for giving them a chance to try something different. But this right now, I think is going to be the right path for this franchise because the fans are happy. Devil May Cry is a subject again. It's being talked about. It's being recognized again. Like you know, like it's a refreshing feel. Like, oh wow, we're getting it back. And you can tell by the reception and the feedback that it's probably going to go well for them. Like Monster Hunter done so far. Like, you know, Resident Evil 7 so far has done for them. And for me, I'm happy because Capcom is one of the first original big developers when they started to go in a bigger evolving route, you know, when they started to get it bigger with the 8-bit era and obviously the 316-bit era and the 32 that followed. So kudos to them and kudos to the fans for sticking by and believing in Capcom and giving them the feedback of please bring it back or go back to the rules. And I like that they're bringing Virgil back too because he wasn't fleshed out enough in the 4th game and now he looks more mature.
Yes.
It's gonna be interesting. Oh yeah, the game looks incredible. I think it's not even empty framework that they're using. It's a brand new engine. That looks
I'm not sure. I mean, for all we know, it could be the RE engine. I mean, that's their new engine that they're using.
I was reading an article, and I think it's a new one because I thought it was.
Wow, really? Nice.
Yeah. I think it was empty. I think it's the engine they're used for Resident Evil 7. Okay. It's that engine. That's why the animations look so fluid and kind of lifelike at the same time, even though they have a video game look and feel, you know.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's Devil May Cry, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I mean, the guy's gonna be riding a missile sometime in the game, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no doubt about that.
It's for pure fun.
Yeah, I mean, but it does look good. You're absolutely right. So Shady, listen, you are an appreciator of the Capcom franchises, and this one is a big one. Devil May Cry 1 came in and literally blew everyone away. 2 was a bit of a drop. 3 was fantastic. I thought 4 was fantastic. But for them to return to 5, I think that this is it shows the fans that Capcom hears you. They didn't do well with Ninja Theory's version, and they came back to the original. How important do you think it is to this franchise for not only for them to return, but to make it the biggest and best one in that franchise?
I think it's as important as it can get. As much as a lot of people did enjoy the reboot, there was a lot, especially in the core fans, that did not like that. And I've never been a fan of when something completely reinvents itself, trying to more or less get new fans at the behest of the old ones. They take them for granted and just expect them to show up. I'm not a fan of that practice at all. I like when they're shown the respect. And when you make something of quality, new fans will come because they deserve to, to be exposed to it, because it's awesome. So I think that this game, for one, it looks insane. Those graphics were mind-blowing to me. And I really got a kick out of the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, months leading up to E3, this game was rumored to be a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes, it certainly was. Yes.
And there was already shade getting thrown towards Xbox for missing out on such a great game. And then not only is it not an exclusive, but they reveal it at Xbox's E3 on stage. I did. The inner fanboy in me did get a kick out of that. I did. Like that a lot.
Yeah, well, it was
again, it's when you hear that, it boils my blood. Not because I'm just an Xbox first gamer. Obviously, if it would have only been on the PlayStation 4, I would have purchased it gladly on the PS4. But I like my achievements over trophies. That's just me. But I really have a hard time understanding where this stigma has been thrown onto the Xbox, that all of the gamers, and that includes all of us here, because we all have Xboxes, that the community at large has a distaste or a diswant, if you will, towards Japanese titles. Like, I don't understand that. Just because Sony is primarily a Japanese company, they are stationed in New York. I mean in the United States. So I don't understand where that came from. But it is nice to see that this wasn't going to go in the same line of Street Fighter V, because I don't know. First of all, the game was a complete launch disaster, but it was the worst selling Street Fighter in the history of the company, being an exclusive on that Sony on console. I'm hoping that Capcom does not make this mistake again, and Street Fighter 6, whenever that is going to come out, will be on multiple systems, so we could play it as well. Right. But I'm going to move on to the next topic, and it's another segue, and I didn't even realize this was going to happen. Sony's first-party success has solidified them as the go-to console for incredible single-player and exclusive games. And this year alone, they put out some big ones. You had God of War. You have Detroit Become Human, and you have Spider-Man by Insomniac Games with launches on September 7th. This onslaught of games, especially single-player, exclusives, is going to continue way into 2019. The question that I have for everybody on the panel, and I'm going to start with Hebot first on this: are you a PlayStation 4 player? Do you own a PS4?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So if you're a supporter of the brand, it may not be your go-to brand, but you still play games on it. With the success that Sony has been showing since, oh my God, I mean, literally, they have taken over this entire generation. There's no doubt about it with sales, but they've really kind of, broke the mold, if you will, starting in 2017 with all the second-party exclusives that weren't on the Xbox console, all the way through 2018. Are you excited to see where the brand is going to go, not only next year with all of their incredible first-party titles, but the PlayStation 5? Are you excited to see where they're going to go?
For me, is a yes and no. Yes, because you always want to see what companies are going to be able to deliver and bring with a new iteration of a console, right? Obviously. But at the same token, I don't feel they've been as consumer friendly.
That's correct. Yes.
With their fan base, not being able to change your name. That's pretty, anti-consumer, not being able to play your backwards compatibility games, or at least try, even though they did it with PS2 and PS3, and they used to brand it as, look, we can play backwards compatibility on our console, your old games, and things like I don't know, just not really addressing their fans when they say, can you please bring this or do this, not having a 4K player, even though they're part of the 4K committee of Blu-ray on their console, and still selling it for a pretty steep price. There's a lot of things. I mean, it is what it is, but their games for me, like I said, they just feel what they're supposed to feel, theatrical, because they're a movie company.
Yes,
that's what they specialize in, and that's why when you see the cutscenes in their games, and they're very movie-esque because they come from that route. They are that. They have a mocap studio that they own, and that's what they use. I know it's great, it looks beautiful, it looks fantastic, but I've always been more about the gameplay before anything else. I think they've done a stellar job, but I also think they've kind of gotten lucky because we started a generation, as we all know, with pretty much nothing. Killzone and Knack were very lackluster, and people were praising them. They were praising Resogun for a whole year, for Christ's sakes, when it was just a simple shooter on the indie space, and that's crazy, because I feel that if it was someone like Xbox, because they're held at a higher standard and because they're supposed to be a higher echelon, I guess, they don't do that. They, if Xbox would have talked about Cuphead for 2 years straight, they would have been like, what is this? Plus us, the fans, we're very vocal, so we would have said something as well. Not because maybe we don't appreciate, but just because of the fact that we're spoiled, because they usually just listen and do things for the most part, 90%, 95% of the time. And that's just to try to give you an example. So I am, because I want to see what the type of games they make, but I want them to do more single player experiences that you can play cooperatively, to kind of give the game a longer lasting life, because you could play with friends, or you could play with your family, with your kids, whatever, or even through the multiplayer aspect, just add something, because I know multiplayer for us when we grew up, it was a filler. It was something to do after we beat up.
Well, I mean, it's also you had multiplayer back in those days, and I hate to say it, sound like an old man here, because that's what I sound like. But
no,
that was someone sitting on your couch.
Yeah,
that was your multiplayer, man.
Right.
Back in the 1900s.
People don't remember this. You had to get the turbo tap so you can add 4 players.
Right. Plus, remember, the first real online experience was through Game Genie, if you guys remember. You had to tap Game Genie and put it through modem, and you were able to play Madden, basketball right on the Genesis. But again, it was at different times. It was primitive. It was in its infancy, and we've come a long way. Gaming is very social now, very social. So I think to respect both mediums, the single player medium and the multiplayer, you have to add these elements, because it gives the game a more value personally to a lot of gamers, and prospectively, right? For lack of a better term, because not only can you enjoy it with someone in the campaign or single player, but then you can go with your friends and play multiplayer aspect where you can have some fun for a couple hours, play the horror mode or whatever the case may be. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every game needs a multiplayer mode, because something like Dead Space, me personally, I don't think it needs it. It doesn't feel right. I think it's right just being a single player experience, or co-op like they did with the third one. And look at how that was received, because they say, oh, well, it lost the factor of being scary, which I always felt it wasn't really scary. It was more about the intensity and the fact that the game was very fast paced, but with the intensity of not knowing what's around the corner, right? But it was action based. So that's how I feel. I think we're still basically growing. I think they've done the right thing for their fan base, obviously, in many ways. But I also think a lot of the people in other areas, like us, Xbox gamers, have supported them probably even more or in a better way than their own basic core fans, to be honest. Because we've said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So, and I've always heard mostly on the Xbox side. But again, maybe people would disagree or agree or disagree with my opinion or my thoughts, but they come from the heart. That's what I feel. But yeah, it's exciting. Regardless, anything that's new, it's exciting to see what they do, because they can mess up royally or they can just keep up with the momentum. You know, we don't know until it happens. You know, but yeah, that's how I feel, Boom.
Okay, well, listen. I mean, what you had to say was well thought out. It wasn't fanboyish at all. I mean, it's your feeling. You're absolutely entitled to your opinion, and you do have a PlayStation 4. It's like you don't.
Yes.
So Shady, I'm going to go to you, dude. The success that Sony has had has been nothing short of historic. And we're going to talk about how historic at towards the end, after everyone answers this, this particular part of the topic. But are you excited to see what they're going to bring forth in 2019, but more specifically, what they're going to bring, 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, I am. And I'm going to be honest here and say that this is the first time that anything from Sony has had me excited in almost 20 years. Like, my time with Sony ended for me roughly the beginning of the PS2. I had one. I played it for the first year and a half. I absolutely adored it. And then when the GameCube and Xbox came out, I went that route and never went back.
Right.
I just didn't care. I had access to a PS3 and I have access to a PlayStation 4 because of the people I live with. I don't load them. I just don't play it. I've never been a fan of the controller ever since the PlayStation 1 even. I do not like it at all. It's functional for me at best. So the company has just been there for me. When I was younger, I loved all the cutscenes and the cinematic stuff because it was new to gaming.
Yeah.
But I find that the older I get now, and that's the cinematic quality is up. Like, it's better than it's ever been. But we've seen cinematic games for a very long time. I'm tired of having the control ripped away from me to watch a 10-minute cutscene. I'm tired of that. I don't like it. I want the story delivered in a more dynamic fashion, and if that can't be done, just give me some light type of narrative story that gives me reason to do what I'm doing. But I want gameplay, and I want it to be tight, and Sony was not delivering that for me personally for a very long time. Horizon Zero Dawn changed all that.
Yes,
in my world.
Fantastic game.
Really enjoyed that game. Like, the gameplay, the loop in that gameplay was so good to me. I loved it. Some elements of the story, some parts of the cutscenes and everything else, they were too long in my taste. Some of the acting wasn't the best. I didn't like all the story had to offer, but the gameplay was phenomenal for me, and that had me interested. And then when I played God of War, my lord, that is just a great game all around. It looks insane. It plays insane. The story is good. I felt that the non-cutting camera that they maintained throughout the entire game,
that was incredible, to be honest.
Brilliant. I didn't mind watching those cutscenes just because it didn't feel like the game was ripped out of my hands. It felt like I was able to just give them a rest for a few minutes and then get back into it. Whereas most cutscenes, they're just boom. It doesn't look like the game as much as it normally does anymore. Like, it's usually up in CGI, and it's pulling off a bunch of camera angles that you could never have gameplay representation of. Whereas God of War was just, I don't know, it was good. I loved it. It was fantastic. So what they showed at E3 also has me really big time interested. Their new AAA games look like they're going to continue in that trend of just delivering big time quality. I really do wish they had co-op in a lot of their games. They have none, pretty much. And I find that their multiplayer is lacking, especially in comparison to the quote-unquote exclusives that Xbox has to offer on their side as well. But I think that they're improving, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with next round. I think they got lucky this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, well, obviously, what's their brand is funny, because right now they're the popular system, right? They're the cool kid, which is why they have 85 million sold. I'm not taking anything away from the games from 2017 moving forward. They did have some quality first party games in the first couple of years of the console, but they had a lot of bombs too. But what they're putting out now, and we, obviously we had to wait years for this. They showed us a trailer or a CGI or a movie, back in 2015, 2016, and we're just getting these games now. And of course, it's all flame mignon, because the three games they had come out this year are just phenomenal, and Spider-Man isn't even out yet. And I have a funny feeling that's going to show up somewhere in the high 90s on Metacritic for sure, because the game just looks insane. But I'm as a fan of all consoles, and I buy them day one. I'm very excited to see what Sony does. I am going to agree with Hebot on the not being as fan friendly as Microsoft. They definitely need to work on their PR skills, if you will. But they are putting out quality games. But I want to move on to the next topic, because I did get everybody. And this is like I guess you can call it the big horse in the room, if you will. The Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay trailer was launched yesterday by Rockstar Games. And as expected, it literally took the gaming world by storm. I personally watched it 4 times. I thought that the narration by the female was spot on, perfect. She really, whoever it was that was speaking, was elegant. She broke it down. I didn't walk away confused in any way. So Shady, I want to go to you first on this, because we were talking pre-game about this. How blown away were you with this? But more specifically, are you surprised because it's Rockstar?
Rockstar continuously surprises me, actually. I have a history of refusing to believe even their gameplay trailers until it's in my hands, because it is just so mind-blowing every time. I remember GTA 4, one of the trailers, he's ripping around in his dirt bike and he smashes through like a newspaper dispenser, and they're all flying around on the street, and all the civilians were reacting. There's just so much going on at the time that was like, no way is this representative. Like, this is a cutscene. It has to be. And then you get the game in your hands and it's like, okay, this was totally what the trailer was trying to get across, if not even better now. So it doesn't really surprise me, but part of it, again, it does, just because it's like, wow, I know how huge their worlds are. And when you just take just screenshots, little snaps, and look at the level of detail on absolutely everything, my mind can't help but realize that that same detail is applied to every square inch of the entirety of the game. And it is just, it's staggering. I can't imagine what it would be like to build something from nothing like that. It would just take, my God, I can't imagine the time and the man hours involved. But I am excited for this game, man. I really hope they nail the ragdolls, quote unquote, of the guys when you're shooting them. The first game really nailed that, and the way that the guns felt too, they were perfect. I hope it doesn't change too much. It just improves. It's going to be good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I watched the trailer multiple times. That was playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro, or PS, by the way, if anyone's wasn't sure. And it looked gorgeous. So I can only imagine what it's going to look like on the Xbox One X with the enhancements. You know, it's going to have them because obviously the console is more powerful. So that's where I'm going to be playing it. Eve, I want to go to you next. Did you see the trailer yesterday?
I did, actually. I haven't played the first one, but I think I will now, definitely.
Well, it looks great if you have an X. It's backwards compatible, and it looks gorgeous.
Well, I definitely, just graphically, my eyes were just like having an orgasm, just panning over everything, every little detail, the atmosphere, the scenery, the background. I'm a huge background person. I love seeing the extra added detail that was added to a game that may not necessarily be needed, but makes it even better than what it is, just having your character going around. Just the motion of everything was absolutely awesome. I'm very excited to play it, even though I'm not too familiar with it. It's something that I want to experience.
Well, this is a prequel to the one that you're going to hopefully play before this comes out. So you're not really going to be missing anything. I mean, obviously there's a backstory of the gang that you get a little bit in Red Dead 1. But if you don't get to it before this game comes out, I don't think you're going to miss too much. You're going to learn everything in the story anyway. I'm gonna say this. And I want to agree with somebody in the chat, and I don't remember who it was. My goodness, I'm so sorry. They said that this might be the best looking game they've seen in this generation. And I think that they're right, because we've seen a lot of gorgeous looking games, but this, you have to remember, this is an open world and there's so much going on in the background. There's animals running around, trees are blowing, the sun is setting, there's weather. and it just looked, everywhere you looked, your eyes were like, I can't, at least for me, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I wasn't just looking at them, right in the middle on the person on horseback. I was looking at the people walking in the street, the carts going by, the tumbleweed blowing on the left. I wanted to see it all. That's why I watched it multiple times. And I think it just proves that, you know, with Rockstar, people do get on their case because they do take a long time to come out with games. But you know what? They are one of the only people that have such a swagger to their company that they basically can do with whatever they want. They go out there, they let it hang out, and they're like, listen, when we're ready, I'll slap you in the face with it. And until then, just watch it swing back and forth. And that's really the truth. Hebot, I'm going to go to you, dude. This trailer, I think, sold copies of this game besides the name. I mean, my DM and my Twitter feed was completely, I thought it was going to melt the wires in my phone because it was so much was coming down on, you know, everyone getting excited. But the thing I kept seeing from people is I just pre-ordered the $90 edition. Right. I just pre-ordered the big edition because I couldn't believe what I saw. Were you impressed with this trailer?
Well, look, that trailer is basically proves something that I've said, and I'm pretty sure others have, maybe, you know, what can be accomplished by any developer if they're left alone.
Yes.
If they're respected.
Yes.
If they're given the time without scrutiny. And, you know, I got to give you like an example. I'll give you an example of like the developers for, you know, Sumo. For Crackdown 3, how everybody keeps on top of them. The game was showed literally 3 years ago, and all they keep on is harping and harping and harping and harping when they're trying something new. Rockstar was never in that position from the beginning. You know, they had to earn their stripes. But the way they did it was, like you said, they basically told everyone, listen, when we're ready, we'll show it to you. If you don't like it, then that'll be your loss. But once the product is out, you'll see whatever we have to deliver. And if we meant business, or if it's a cheap product. And I think a lot of developers should follow suit. And if they're left alone, this is the proof of the product, of what it could do, because the quality is there. You know, I'm not a big Red Dead Redemption fan because I feel the Western era is a very limited era where it could get boring. But then again, I grew up in the era with the spaghetti Western, you know, the
right,
good,
yes,
bad, and the ugly, you know, Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, 310 to Yuma, all those Westerns movies were fantastic, phenomenal, which I adore and love, dear to my heart. But watching a movie is different than playing a game. So to keep your interest is very challenging, right? To say the least, especially when you're playing an open world game that's a sandbox with many, many different elements to it to try to engage you and keep you, you know, captivated and engaged and intrigued, of course. So if the game has a fantastic story, which it looks like it will, because they've made it a point to do that with their games, because no matter whether it's GTA or not, to add really good stories that a lot of people and different cultures can relate with.
Yes.
This is what Rockstar likes to do.
Yep.
And for that, I commend them.
Well, the games are always very culture heavy.
Yes,
and
yes.
Every race, creed, and color is involved, and I think that is important in 2018 more than ever. Yeah,
are you kidding me? When they said that, when they were doing the ramblings about the GTA 5, they were saying something about that it was going to take place in Puerto Rico with a Puerto Rican, you know, protagonist. I was happy. I thought, oh, that'd be awesome because I'm Puerto Rican, and that's the bias in me, obviously, because it's nice to see those type of things. But nonetheless, what they delivered with the three different characters from the three different backgrounds and ethnics was great. Because they delivered. I've never played Red Dead 1, but I've seen my sons play heavily because my son's a big fan. So I know the game's quality. I can play it because I have the option. I own the game, so Prime Eva, don't feel left out. I haven't played it either. But what you saw yesterday, it surprises me, and it doesn't, because this is their first real next generation game with a new next generation engine.
Yes, certainly is correct on that. Yes.
So for us to expect something less than that would be kind of foolish in our part, especially people like us, because we've done this. This is not our first rodeo. We know what to expect. This is what you do, and this is what happens, and what it looks like when you have a real, proper next generational graphic game that it not only looks graphically next generation, but the animation, the art style, the attention to detail, you know, the story, obviously, because that's a good part of it as well, or a big part of it. So I'm glad that the Red Dead fans are going to get a spectacular experience, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to try to give it a chance just to see what the story is about. But again, like I said, I don't particularly am fond of it because for me, it's a era where there was not much to do. So I would find it a little bit boring after a while. That's why I think I always liked Revolver, because it was more straight to the point, old school style. Kind of had a Capcom Devil May Cry feel because you got the shooting and then
right. Well, I mean,
you know what I'm trying to say?
That was
because
originally
right.
Yes,
right, and then Rockstar finished it. That's for me. I sometimes tend to feel with certain types of eras and games that short and sweet is better than long and tedious and not really adding to the experience. Okay,
I got news for you, dude. A lot of people don't know that there was a Red Dead Revolver.
Oh, I know. I know.
A lot of people, and I'm gonna open up your eyes, people. That was made by Capcom.
Yes,
by the way.
Yeah,
so,
and they had to stop making it because of the fundings.
Yes,
they were going
so, I mean, this is a Capcom classic you'll never see.
Yeah,
I got a chance to play it and beat that game. Was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun. Yeah.
But yeah, there was something before Red Dead Redemption 1.
yeah, and it's funny because if you guys noticed when IGN did the stream, even the dude with the glasses, I forgot his name, he was like, "Oh yeah, with Red Dead Redemption 1," you know, he didn't even acknowledge that there was a Red Dead.
Yeah,
so it's funny, but it's okay. You know, it's understandable because it's not something that a lot of people gravitated to because it came out at a time where gaming was really weird and it was going through a lot of different transitions to begin with. So it's understandable, but the game looks incredible. It looks really beautiful. You can tell it's a labor of love. You can tell, like I said, it's a vision of his own of his product, of his own. You know, I forgot how you say the term, but I think you guys know what I'm.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
You know,
yes.
it's the proof of the quality of the product they're showing because of all the time that they took to make it without scrutiny. Like I said, without complaining, without backlashing. I mean, people say, "Oh, why are you taking so long?" But like you said, very well said, that their attitude is when we're ready to show it, then you'll see it. And I think a lot of developers should do that, especially in the Microsoft side, because sometimes when you give too much information, then you know people just don't appreciate. You know, they take for granted what they're trying to do by being so open and vocal with the fan base. You know, and that can hurt them, I think, and developers as well. I think that's a negative in some ways. So I think it's going to be fantastic for the fans and the games in general. You can tell it's quality. It's not going to be a cheap game. So it's fantastic. I'm not surprised because, like I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. By all means, please. This is a conversational podcast. Talk away, my brother.
Well, but the main reason is I'm not surprised because you knew they were going to do. Imagine what GTA would look like for the next generation, or if they.
GTA 6 is going to. We're going to see that in about 4 years, but I can only imagine what that's going to look like. So strap in, folks, because we're not going to get that for a while. But I'm going to move on to the next topic, and you know, this is a serious one. This one, you know, when we do these shows, we like to talk everything. We like to have fun. Just as much as you're listening and you're whatever you're doing, whether you're in the gym, you're cooking, whether you're cleaning, whether you're at work, whatever, we try to make the show fun for everyone. And that's my job as the host. But something serious happened this week, and it was a big deal. So we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to get everyone's opinion on where the industry is going to be going after this. IGN fires a writer over plagiarism controversy concerning the review of Dead Cell, which I believe So Shady is playing right now. And I kind of just want to talk about, you know, what IGN, what was their response, because how they responded was important. Okay, now this is the direct statement from IGN. I'm going to read it. Though we as a community often share feelings and even certain word choices to describe the games that we love by using similar frames of understanding, this particular situation stepped over the line and is not a reflection of our editorial standards. The statement reads, "We apologize to our readers, developer Motion Twin, and most especially the YouTuber known as BoomStick Gaming for failing to uphold those standards. Now, this was directly spoken by Pierre Schneider. I'm not a fan of IGN anymore. I used to be, but I really do respect Pierre Schneider. I like him as a person. I had the pleasure of talking with him on Twitter through DM. He is a gentleman, and I just want to, when this happened, most companies would just issue an apology and move on. But I just want to talk about what they did additionally. IGN co-founder Pierre Schneider remarked that the company had talked about other steps behind the scenes to compensate BoomStick Gaming, adding that the outlet has made a proposal to the YouTuber on top of its official apology. IGN themselves will be re-reviewing Dead Cells later this week. Now, the guy's name is Philip, and I believe you pronounce it. His last name is Musin. He was employed. He wasn't a contributor. He was a full-on IGN employee that worked as one of the Nintendo editors, along with hosting popular the popular Nintendo voice chat podcast. And I want to go to Eve first on this. This is a black eye that's going to be talked about. When the year ends, every gaming year ends, we always talk about Game of the Year and top 10 and what didn't get notarized that should have had notoriety. This game was so small, no, everyone overpassed it. But in that same sentence, in that same paragraph, when we're all talking about it because we love the industry, we talk about the black eyes and the black marks that will come up. And that happens to be one of IGN's darkest days, in my opinion. I mean, again, up until recently, I was a fan, so I even supported them by paying the monthly fee. That's how much I liked IGN, and I got away from it. How bad does this look on IGN? That's the first question. It's a loaded question. I'm going to give you time to answer. But how can they recover from this, the situation, in your opinion?
Right. Well, like you, I used to follow IGN years and years ago. But lately, honestly, with any type of review or any type of anything, I don't look towards anybody like IGN or Metacritic or anything like that. Like I can't fully trust that they are giving a review from the heart, or even that they actually even played the game. And this kind of follows under that. He was lazy.
Yes.
He was absolutely fucking lazy. How can you have a job doing this? How can you consider yourself a gamer? How can you even be in this industry when you're too fucking lazy to actually do a genuine review of a game? It pisses me off.
Yes, I agree.
And honestly, the only reviews that I will take are from my own gameplay and also just from people that I trust. Like, Boom, I will trust anything that you recommend, and I will totally go right into it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be based off of my own review. But like with you and with like everybody on the panel, everybody, like all my friends and the guys in the chat and stuff, that I will totally wholeheartedly take your opinion and see it for myself. I can't trust anybody else's outsider opinion, and it's bad. It's really bad. And for me, I don't feel like that they can recover from this. It's just another reason why I won't follow IGN, and it's going to be another reason why more people won't follow IGN, because they're full of shit and they're lazy.
Yeah,
and it's very irritating.
They're losing the battle to the small YouTubers. I do reviews. I don't do as many. I would do more if the indie gaming community would hit me up and say, "Hey, Boom, you mind reviewing my game on your channel?" That hasn't happened as of yet. I'm still very small. I'm very new. I'm only in the business 8 months. So,
but it would be so fantastic if you were able to do that. Even if I was able to do that, the people that actually play the damn game, have them review it. Don't pay somebody, which I'm pretty sure, I know some people will be back and forth about this, but I think a lot of reviews are fucking paid. And that's irritating me because I'm not getting the real, actual depth of what this game is about. Is it worth my time? Is it anything? Is it what everybody's talking about? Because there's a lot of games that are not as good as they say. There are top 10 games that just baffle me. Like, why is this a top 10 game? Like, I don't understand. I just don't.
I completely understand what you're saying, and it's hard to say if there's a kind of a payment process, but you also got to remember on the back end of all of these reviews, there's marketing deals, there's there's a lot of money being passed back and forth. So it's I think they walk a fine line. I mean, maybe back in the days there was definitely money changed for an extra 2 points on a review, and that I don't doubt for sure. In 2018, it's the way the reviewers are in 2018, as opposed to maybe 3 or 4 years, 5, 6 years ago, let's just say, where, like you said, games were reviewed, and the person writing the review showed a passion because they loved the game that they were playing. Now it's very opinion based, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, because it is your opinion on the game, but you can see that there is a bit of bias behind a lot of these reviews. There are some of these younger gamers, these younger journalists that are, let's say, for instance, Sony fans. They'll give an extra 2 points to Sony, and I'm not saying that the game, because I'm not going to say a particular game, but a game doesn't deserve those extra 2 points, but they'll take 2 points off an Xbox game. You understand? And I think that is very derivative of the way the industry has gone. That's why I have little to no respect for any of the gaming media currently. There only are a few that I hold a candle to. So Shady, I want to go to you, bro. This is a big deal. This is such a big deal that if I was running IGN, I would definitely have gone through a bottle of Jack D on this, because you sit back in your chair and you're like, shit, where do we go from here? Because now you can almost guarantee the first 10 comments on every review are, did you do it yourself, or did you play? Did you steal from someone? That's going to be the first 10. It. The trolls are going to come flying out. How do they recover from this?
I'm not sure if they can, to be honest. I mean, I still read comments talking about the too much water review they had for a Pokemon game from like 2 years ago, whatever the hell.
Right.
Like, people just don't forget, and this is a big one. And people didn't really care until they were caught. Like, this has obviously been happening before. I think I've read a tweet saying that this very guy has done similar things in the past. Other people have started looking at his work and pointing out other examples of him doing virtually the same thing. It's horrible when you are a professional, especially. This is absolutely career suicide. Like, if you're going to play this game, you get caught, you're done, you're blackballed. Have fun somewhere else. It's ridiculous, to be honest. But I used to go to IGN and the big sites like 3-4 times a day back in the day, all the time. I was there all day checking shit out.
Yeah, me too.
All the new hotness. And it was upsetting then, and it's even worse now. I find most reviews I read are focusing more on maybe the race or the gender of the main character, or like I recall the Shadow of War trailer, and I think it was from Kotaku, maybe Polygon, and they were very upset because in their mind you are enslaving these orcs against their will to fight their own brethren, and he has mad problems with anything in existence being enslaved. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, but is the gameplay good? Does it look good? Does the sound good? And how's the video game, not your moral conundrum of,
well, at the end of the day, you're 100% right. It's a game, right, Shady? It's a game.
Keep that kind of shit opinions to yourself. I don't know how many reviews I've also read where the very opening sentence is, I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, but here's my review of the new Star Wars game. Or I hate racing games, but here's my Forza review.
Exactly.
Come again? I mean, I don't want the biggest racing fanboy on the planet to review racing games, but I want someone who enjoys the genre at least to play these games and review them. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of these games are being played either. And when they are, I've seen most of these reviewers play their gameplay, and it's embarrassing. They get paid money to play games. This is a career for them to apparently enjoy them and give their opinions on it, and they're horrible at them. Look at the guy playing Cuphead as an example.
Oh yeah,
couldn't
terrible.
get through the trial, you know. It's just embarrassing. I remember when they first showed off Doom on Polygon, the guy was shooting the walls and the floor more than any demon on screen. Like, they don't realize that games they take skill to play. They take skill to play well. Not everyone can pick it up and be amazing at it. That's totally fine. But when you're giving it to someone who looks like they're playing with their feet, you're not helping anything in the process. You're like, as a huge fan of Doom, knowing that the game is going to be amazing, I was just like, oh my God, I was offended as a fan because the site gets huge traffic and they choose to put out something that, in my opinion anyways, visually looks terrible, just terrible. Their opinions are ridiculous. They're skewed. They're political, less and less about how the game is and if it's fun, and more about trying to find problems that usually aren't even there and make something big out of it. And a lot of that comes from all of this is all monetized now via clicks. Just telling you the news clear, cut, and simple isn't enough anymore. They have to dramatize everything and make it sound like literally the sky is falling. If you don't pay attention, you're going to die if you don't read this review of something before you buy. You know, those are the big things now. I don't like it at all. I've stopped going to those sites, and I come to the smaller guys on YouTube, people that I can relate to and that obviously enjoy the same games that I do, and I can watch them playing and judge on their gameplay if they're the type of gamer that I also relate to as well, and I take their words for it. Plus, I've been gaming since way back in the 1900s, the 80s. I know what I enjoy. I've been, you know, I'm not too worried about other people's opinions and reviews. I just don't like how so much weight gets put into them. A lot of people just go and see a number. If it's not 9, it's instantly trash.
Oh, that's
the whole
that's
industry of
ridiculous.
reviews is a nightmare. I don't like it at all. I think it needs a massive revamp. And I hope that this scenario, like Star Wars Battlefront was for the gaming industry as a wake-up call with loot boxes and pay to win and stuff, I would like this to be a wake-up call to the gaming media, quote unquote, that people are watching and paying attention, and they expect better out of you guys. You have all the awesome connections to all these game devs and all the new footage and all the backroom stuff. We don't. So when we come to you for that information, it'd be nice if we could trust the sources. Unfortunately, IGN put their trust into someone who decided to abuse that. I don't necessarily hold the company accountable. It's the one guy. But that one guy really did mess it up for a lot of people, I think.
He did. I kind of want to piggyback on what you were saying about people playing the game. You recall last year's Comic-Con with Crackdown 3, those two idiots that were trying to play the game. First of all, you shouldn't have shown the game anyway, but they let these so-called stars play it, and they had no idea what they were doing. So yes, that could absolutely ruin it. But you know, I the thing is this: IGN is the world's biggest website. We have to understand. We have to really. That has to be at the forefront of this conversation we're having. They're not a website. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? They are the biggest video game website in the world. They have offices all over. And this is I don't know how you get out from under this. I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm very interested to hear what Hebot has to say, because he's an old school gamer. He remembers reading Game Pro. He remembers reading when Game Informer was 6 pages long in Funkoland. You know, he remembers reading Gamers Republic and Game Fan. If you remember these magazines that were incredible magazines, Hebot, how do they recover from this? Firing the guy is certainly not enough. Paying BoomStick Gaming, isn't just enough. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, to segue to what you were saying about IGN being the biggest outlet for gaming, this is true, but it's mainly because there's not many more. So, you know, it's just that in itself is proof of media for video games in the state that it is right now. But this is, I'm gonna be honest with you, you know, and again, I don't want to anger anybody, and I hope you guys can understand and hear me out and understand where I'm coming from and can relate with what I'm saying. no real gamer relies on a review to play a game. Okay?
Correct. Well said.
Period.
Well said.
The
Yeah,
reason why, because your taste and my taste will vary, and it's always going to be different. So no matter what anybody says, okay, you're never going to have the same feeling or experience. That's just a human nature thing, right? With anything we do, with what we eat, with how we talk, and how we treat each other, right? Some people might find the way I talk offensive, even though that's not my intent, or Primeval, or so shady, you know, something as simple as that. So that's first and foremost. So for me, when I look at a review, which I'm pretty sure someone like Primeval and so shady or yourself, we look at it like the way we did when we read Electronic Gaming Monthly or GamePro or Sega Vision or Nintendo Power as we grew up, because that was the only source of information for video games, right? Because video games was a very small thing and it was looked at as a joke. We were ostracized in some places for being video gamers, or looked at as weirdos, okay? People don't understand how hard we had to fight to get to this point as gamers, because we supported it. And now it's the biggest form of entertainment, right? Even bigger than movies, to a certain extent, right? So this is not surprising, because a lot of people, well, why you talk about IGN or whatever outlet it may be now, but you didn't say that during the 360 or the OG era Xbox? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when those places were formed, they started with gamers that came from our roots, right? Of our age, that were respecting the culture, respecting the hobby. So when they gave you a review, they played the games themselves and actually gave you their full on thoughts from the heart. It was for real, right? Whether you agree with them or not, it's irrelevant, because the point was that you read it and you took it as a guideline, right? So was the gameplay solid, like Shady said earlier? Was the the graphics nice? Is the music cool? Has it got a good cool story? And we used to even worry about things like, well, what about the ending when you beat the game? What does it look like? What do they show? We used to worry about things like that. Simple things like that, because it was cool to us, you know. And Sega used to do most of the coolest endings in the arcade games, for sure, in that time. But so it shows, it's a sign of our times, really, is what it is, because it just shows that a lot of these outlets now have younger guys that either grew up only knowing one thing, like a PlayStation, let's say, or maybe a Nintendo, and nothing else. They never tried TurboGrafx. They never tried, 3DOs, Neo Geo, Sega Genesis, Master Saturn. They didn't try multiple consoles and played on multiple companies with different types of games as well that they had to offer. So they only respect the one product or the one brand. So they'll usually go and be like, oh, well, I only like this, and always give a good rating for this, but not for that. And it shows you that these kids that are younger are just lazy by design, by the time of the way things are in society today. They're always on the phone. They don't want to go to the library and read a book. They don't want to do their research. And it's a shame. Because what does that say for the future for anything else, not just gaming, in the world in general? It's a sad state of affairs. And it's our job, us, the older gamers that are still here, while we still have some type of energy and battery left, right, in our life, to try to educate them, right? So they can understand and learn from us. Instead, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to listen to you. You're an old fart. You don't know nothing. You're just stuck in your old ways. No, we respect things because we know where it came from. We built this form of culture and entertainment by supporting it. Right. Okay, you weren't there.
Right.
Like when somebody tries to tell me
video games died in '83, a lot of people don't know that.
Right. So with the crash and all that stuff, because of the oversaturation and the inequality control. But also remember that we like it'll be, oh yeah, look at my achievements as compared to you. I said, look, dude, if you want to look at my achievements, go all the way back to when I started playing Pong in the Landeria which is a laundromat with my mom.
Yeah, that's right.
And forget it, you wouldn't be able to touch me.
She gave you quarters so you wouldn't bother her.
Exactly. And where they placed that? In laundries, because you use quarters to wash. It was genius. In the pizzerias, but while you waited for your pizza, or things like that. So we, you go back to try to accumulate our scores. There's no way in the world that you can do that, because it's been too long for a lot of us. So it's sad in many ways, and I hope that Adam Sessler kind of gave us the idea when this generation first started, because he left when he had to do the review for Assassin's Creed for the PlayStation, and he said that they were doing stuff that he was not happy and comfortable with, and he kind of gave us a warning that things were not the same, and they're trying to changing for the worse in the media for gaming. That it was more about probably the money, what can you get, incentives, as opposed to being truthful and respectful and honest. And that is why us, the YouTubers, are such a big threat, because we're more of the old school style, because we're having personal one-on-one communication through social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook groups, via Xbox Live, or PlayStation Network. We're communicating with regular people like us that enjoy gaming with the same hobby, that connects us together, because that's what makes it unique, right?
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're bringing the old school back to media through our own outlet, with our own opinions, with our own honesties, with our own intelligence of gaming from all the years of experience. And I think that's why we're such a threat, even though we're small channels, like you said, and people don't really listen or pay attention. But they're going to start to realize, hey, listen, this guy I talk to on a daily, he'll ask me a question. He bought the game. He played the game. He has achievements to prove that he played the game, or whatever the case may be. I'm just giving you an idea, right? So I can trust his opinion more personally, because he's personally interacting with me with these shows, like this beautiful and wonderful show you have here set up today, that you've been doing for about 8 months now, right, or so. And people appreciate that. Gamers will appreciate. People are going to see that, and they need to, because it's a wake-up call, like Shady said. It is. And Prime Eva hit a lot of great points as well. It's a shame, because it just shows that it's a joke, and it's about time that it gets exposed. And I think this really did hurt. I don't think that it's IGN's fault as a whole, whoever runs it, but it will definitely open their eyes to the fact that they just can't hire anybody because they gotta know what they're doing. But to be honest with you, for what I understand, the way they set up their reviews is someone plays it, and then they tell the person what they felt and how they played it and what was the experience playing it, and then someone else writes it. So you're never getting that experience from the actual person playing it. That tells you a lot right there, because if someone like you makes a review, or Prime Eva, or So Shady, or myself, we played the game, and that's how we reviewed it after we played it. It's our personal experience.
Right.
So we can only tell you based on what we did, but it's real. It's not fake or staged, right? So I think this is well deserved, especially if they've been playing around with the culture, because this is expensive. It's not just about playing video games. It's an expensive hobby. And when people put their money to these things, they want to know it's well spent, right? And if you're the guideline for this hobby or this culture, then you need to show respect to your audience,
Right.
So
absolutely. Yes. That's a big word, respect. Something that seems to have lost its meaning over the years, and that's a really good point, dude. Absolutely respect. And I really just I kind of want to pounce on that, because first of all, let me just pay some of the bills here. Lunch Bizzle with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. Listen, every dollar really does help the channel grow. It does help me personally. So when people donate, it is greatly appreciated. But getting back to your point, when I do the shows, I start the process of planning it Sunday evenings for the following Friday show. And obviously a lot of these topics, they're hot button topics because they just happened a day or two ago. But I start preparing this show almost a week prior. for the reason of the people that are listening and the people that are in this chat that I've been talking with all morning. The respect that I have for people coming out to listen to what I have to say is important to me.
That's right.
And having you guys on the show to have proper topics and not just be, because I want you guys to come on the show and I want you to feel like you're hanging out, which is what we're doing.
That's right.
And that means that I'm doing the right thing as a host. But at the same time, I have to respect that you're taking the time out of your day to be away from your kids, away from your family, away from your job. I've had people take off work to be on my show. I honestly, I could never thank them enough.
Nice.
And it is a big deal. And IGN is a very big website. And you know what? You said it. Maybe they just don't respect their readers as much as they should. Maybe somewhere, because they got so big, that got lost in translation. Yeah. It is definitely possible. But you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. The company is not going to go belly up because of one a-hole. There's no doubt about it. They have thousands and thousands of employees that write, that don't do what this guy did. This guy's career in gaming media is obviously over. I don't think anyone would touch this guy with a 10-foot pole. Right. But you know what? I want to move on to, we're talking about media. And when you say media, in my opinion, and this may be because I'm an Xbox first gamer, I think of the Xbox. And recently, at least since E3, they have become the media darling, if you will. Lots of great news have been coming out. At E3 2018, Phil Spencer gets up on stage. Okay, he not only announces the initiative, but that they purchased Undead Labs, Playground Games, Ninja Theory, and Compulsion Games. Okay, and now in the last 2 days, there has been a letter of intent that was out there that leaked for Obsidian Entertainment being added to their first-party roster, which would be a gigantic win for Microsoft and all of their fans. There's no doubt about it. So we know that what they have, right? I don't want to go too much into Obsidian Entertainment because as it stands right now, it's a rumor, okay? But what I want to throw out there, and I really wanted to get your opinion, I want to get the chat's opinion on this because obviously, them participating is important to me as a host. And I'm going to go to So Shady first on this. In your opinion, what company would you like to see Microsoft add as a first-party developer that they haven't already added to their roster? What would be the one dream company for you personally? It could be small, it could be big. Where do you think they're going next with this? Because they're not done spending.
No, they're not done spending at all. I'm going to keep my my guess or hopes a little bit grounded and realistic with this one. I'm going to say Crytek. That's good. I like Crytek. Yeah, I loved Crysis. I think that company pushes visuals next level, and I believe that Xbox is the place to do that going forward. And if they were to do it now, their first game wouldn't be till next gen, and I think it would be face melting. Yes. I know they have a game coming out like right about now. It's on PC. I forgot what it's called, but it's like a
Hunt.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of it. It looks really good. I do hope it's going to come to consoles, but I'm not sure if it's going to. But yeah, that's my pick is Crytek. I think they could do a lot of good things with a solid amount of time to themselves and a guaranteed paycheck for their employees, because apparently that's been an issue over at that company. So.
Well, you know what that would guarantee? A possible Rise 2, because they own the IP.
Yes,
and Rise 1 still looks. As crazy as it sounds, it's one of the best looking games on the console, and it's a launch title.
Yes, it is.
So that's your choice. But I'm going to go to you, dude. If you had to pick one company that's a grounded one, obviously everyone would say, yeah, by CD Projekt Red, I'd love to have them. That's yes. But being realistic, being that Microsoft has not closed up the wallet, they are still in the hunt for other AA games. That's been confirmed. What do you think that they should go for next?
Well, it has to be one.
Well, no, no. You can. This is a conversational podcast. Go crazy.
First of all, Shady, that's a fantastic pick. I feel very strongly about that pick because I think that Crytek, with the right team, meaning more people, more money, and the right backing, they have potential to be far beyond anything else we've seen out there as far as developers, because they show the potential. So I had tip to you for that pick. That's amazing. I was going to say that as well, as one of them. But without question, there's two that come to mind because they just make sense. And it would be fitting and only right. Number one, Remedy. Remedy has to become part of Xbox.
Yes.
Because when you talk Remedy, it's like when you say Naughty Dog, it's associated with Sony, and
correct.
You know it feels like a Sony product brand developer. It's the same thing with Remedy. When you talk about Remedy, even though they started on the PC space, obviously with Mac Payne, but they just feel more like an Xbox developing team and product. You know, Alan Wake is one of the most underrated games from last generation.
Oh my God, yes. Speak on that. Preach, brother. Preach.
You know, with the Twilight Zone-esque type feel, you know, with the Twilight Zone.
We're old bastards, so that is.
No, but boom, let's be honest. Anyone that would play Alan Wake that never gave it a chance is going to say the same thing that a lot of people said about Rise when they played Rise. Yes, it was a launch game, but this game is a lot better than what I thought. It's phenomenal, right?
Yes, correct.
Great story, right?
Yeah.
And not so shabby gameplay. It's more of a, you have to learn the counter combat system, and it's a lot more robust, believe it or not. But Remedy just, I don't know if it's because they don't want to be owned, but if that's the case, then they can do a deal like they did with Ninja Theory, right?
Yes.
Where they give them full.
Hey, listen, you have the full back of Microsoft. Go crazy.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Just do what you want. And I'm pretty sure with Phil in the helm and even all the other guys and the execs at Microsoft, they'll give them the respect and space because they've already shown that. They did it with Alan Wake. They've done it with Quantum Break. And, Quantum Break, Jesus Christ, what a fantastic game.
Yes.
That got scrutinized because of textures in the background. In the background.
Yes. Yeah,
in the background when it was really at 1080p from point to point. It was basically the artifacts in the back were 720p, which were the highest ever because in the past we've always had 580p and things like that, or 520p or whatever. The point is that it wasn't even, or because the movie connected with the game and took kind of the immersion out of it when they were trying to pay an homage to the old school Sega CD games like Sewer Shark and things like that, but done in a obviously much higher quality and done right, which I thought was fantastic because it was different. It was original. Why do you always want to see the same thing all the time? I don't understand that. You want to see different things. And technically what it's doing when you go into this warehouse where everything goes in time and morphs in real time while you're fighting your enemies, and it's actually forming and transforming through different eras and age, like of the years. That was never seen before. That was incredible. So technically, it was phenomenal, and a very well deserved game that needed more praises and didn't get it. So Remedy, number one, without question. I think they feel Microsoft. They feel like an Xbox product and an Xbox developer, and I think they have a good relationship for the most part. Regardless of what people say, I just think that Microsoft couldn't really help them more because of lack of sales of their games. Because unfortunately, they're like Ninja Theory. They've done a lot of good things and diverse things, but none of their properties really sell until now. Ninja Theory finally got their hit, in Hellblade, which is fantastic because that opens up doors and opportunities. So I hope Remedy gets the same because they deserve it. And then if I have to pick a secondary, it would definitely be the developers for Cuphead.
Yes. Actually, yes. Good one, dude.
And the reason why I say that is for many reasons. One, they're small. They need help. They need to grow, and they have talent. And if they were able to do this along with 4 or 3 people or 4 people, I think it was the wife, him, and his brother.
Imagine if they had a team of 100 or a team of 50.
Exactly. And then I felt so happy to hear when they had success with Cuphead because these guys refinanced their home. Yeah. Jesus Christ! Can you imagine if Cuphead didn't sell? I would have felt so devastated and sad for them. So I'm happy. And the mainly reason why I'm saying that is because Microsoft is doing something that a lot of people may not appreciate, but me being a root gamer and maybe many of you or here everyone on the panel may appreciate is that Microsoft is finally establishing more mascot quality games.
Yes. Yep.
We got Super Lucky.
You think about this when you think of Cuphead, you think of Xbox.
Right. Right, absolutely. And now you have all sorts of other things like Super Lucky Steals, which is a really overrated game that's small, cheap, and deserves to be looked at.
Listen, dude, I loved it. I
Yes.
played that from start to finish. I want a second one. I cannot wait for it, to be honest.
Because it does platforming right. It does everything that platforming offers right. Then you have Torque from the old back catalog, which should be revisited.
Yes.
You have Voodoo Vince, and you have Conquer, right? And Banjo-Kazooie. They're building up a library of mascot platforming games, which we all know Sony had Jax and Dexter, Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank. Those games are well received, even though they may not sell 10 million copies, but they're well received. And Microsoft needs that because it's diversity, because then people won't say, oh, they just have Halos or the Gears because they're shooting type games or racing games or, just Fable, even though, Fable hasn't sold as much as or as good as people might have thought, but it's still well loved and respected. So I think it's great for their portfolio, for their image, for them being able to bring in younger audiences, because Mario had his opportunity when it first came out. It was given out free. We all supported it, and look what it is now. It's an iconic character in society, period, not just gaming. Everybody recognizes Mario.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
I think the same potential is there for games like a Cuphead or Super Lucky Steals. Am I saying that it's going to be bigger than Mario for those who get offended easily?
No, of course not. No,
that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying is that every game that is of that nature deserves a chance. And I think Microsoft adding this to their portfolio, if they own something like Cuphead and the developers, even though it's already a lifetime, exclusive for the brand, I think it'll be a smart move, and it'll be rewarding in the long term for them making other games. Because, like you said, imagine them with a 100-man team with a $50 million budget and being able to do new other IPs and property. I would personally love to see them do a Popeye game or a Tom and Jerry game in that style. You know what I mean? Me personally, and I know it sounds corny, but that's because I think that art style is dying, and for someone to be able to pull that off now, it's very telling, and it's very amazing, really, because that took a lot of work, a lot of time. It's like stop motion. It's a lot of dedication and time. People don't realize that. So yeah, those are the two. The I forgot the name of them. Oh my god, the developers from Cuphead and Remedy. Mm-hmm.
MDHR.
Yeah, MDHR, correct.
MDHR.
Yep.
Thank you, Shady. Yeah, MDHR. That's it.
Nice. Eve, I'm going to go to you. Listen, Microsoft, they needed to do this. This again, this, we're all excited as Xbox fans that this is happening. This should have happened, but we understand that there was a lot of roadblocks that came up in regards to spending. Now those roadblocks have been removed because people like Terry Myerson, who was known in the company as the human roadblock, I'm not making that up, folks, is gone, and now Phil Spencer is sitting at the big boy table, and he's making big moves. What would you like to see them? Where would you like to see them go more specifically? What company that you want to see them purchase to make first party games for the Xbox platform?
Absolutely, wholeheartedly, extremely, like everything in me right now wants them to get CD Projekt, please, because what they have done with video gaming is what makes me want a game. They took an entire book series as their storyline and took that and brought in gameplay, graphics, environment, and everything, and created perfection. And that's The Witcher. Like, I have never played anything that has ever, like, in such a long time, because I've probably played every single RPG ever back in the day. But the way that they were able to give me everything in one game and make me want more is something that not a lot of companies have been able to do. They are very proud of their work on top of that. Like with Cyberpunk coming out, for years, I have been refreshing on their website to see if there was anything new. Nope. I got that same 45-second trailer that ended with, it'll be ready when it's ready. And I think that's fucking fantastic, because that's what I want. I want a game that is complete. I don't want to have something that's missing elements that I wish was in it. There's not one thing in The Witcher that I wished was in it. And I think if Microsoft took them, gave them more money, they can make something even beyond The Witcher, which I almost feel like is impossible.
Yes. Well, you know, to just jump on your point, Blood and Wine might be the greatest DLC of all time.
Okay, boom. Blood and Wine is probably the best DLC
in the history of life.
I wouldn't say that, because the thing is with Hearts of Stone, that for me had the best story and the best. It almost scared me how good that story was because of what it was about. Like, I got freaked out. If I started hearing the little song chant and shit anywhere, I would probably freak the fuck out. Blood and Wine, graphically, it brought so much vibrancy to the palette that they used for those graphics versus how the entire Witcher, the first few games were. It was kind of gritty, it was kind of dark, and then you get to Blood and Wine and you're like, this is fucking beautiful. I want to come here, but you don't, because there's giants that'll kill you. So it's like they did so much, and they showed, oh my gosh, like going into the fairy tale world too. At that one point, oh, my daughter was watching it and she's like, is that Rapunzel? I'm like, don't look. I don't mean to have any spoilers, but Rapunzel was hanging by her own hair.
Yeah, not good for her.
Yeah, no, it was like, okay. But what they did was they made an adult RPG that you can connect to. And I think with CD Projekt that they can do so much more, which is why I'm really excited for Cyberpunk to come out, because I know my bar may be set high, but they're gonna meet it.
Oh, they're gonna.
So it's like
that game. People are gonna get divorced and lose jobs over this. There's no doubt about it. You know, there was some rumors that this acquisition, Remedy was one of them that was rumored, early in the month. I'm sorry, late last month, because we're still early in the month. And CD Projekt Red was one of those companies that supposedly Microsoft was speaking to. And again, this is completely a grain of salt. Look, let me just say this. No one, and I mean no one, saw Ninja Theory happening, right? That was almost unheard of. No one saw that coming. As a matter of fact, as great as the other studios are, that one obviously was the biggest of the bunch, in my opinion. No one saw that coming. Just imagine this for a second, and this is not even a topic, but you said it, so I'm going to go with it. Okay, just imagine for a hot second that Microsoft Gamescom is around the corner, right? CD Projekt Red is a European developer. How show-stopping, internet melting would it be if someone from Microsoft, and of course it'd be Phil Spencer probably, gets up on, comes on stage or whatever little show they're going to be doing and says, we have a few more announcements in regards to studios. And they announced that not only is CD Projekt Red now part of Microsoft First Party, but Cyberpunk 2077 is an exclusive.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Do you know how Sony would freak the fuck out?
Do you understand?
That is so big.
Yes. First of all, let me tell you why I would do this. If I had to add 3 additional zeros to what they were asking just to get them on board, I'm gonna tell you why I would do this. Would be me. Do you understand how many Xbox One X consoles would be sold if this was an exclusive? Because it would be this kind of news, and everyone says it, and I'm going to say it again, would break the internet. There's just no doubt about it. So is it going to happen? Probably not. But it is fun to speculate. There's no doubt about it. The two companies that I would love to see, they're smaller. And they've done some really cool games, I thought, and one that's coming out still. First of all, I think they should snatch up Moon Studios that make Ori and the Blind Forest. Yes. I think that is a game that transcended generations, because obviously it was on the 360 and it made its way to the X with the HD version of that. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is probably going to be a Game of the Year candidate when it comes out next year. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
And I think that that's a company that you could get, give them all the time in the world, give them the money. You're guaranteed a winner. You're guaranteed a game that's going to come out. It's going to be in the high 90s in Metacritic, and it's going to be loved across. It's going to sell consoles, whatever games that they come out with, because they're that good. And the second one's a little smaller. Tequila Softworks. Now, I'm not sure if you know who they are. They made the incredible Deadlight. That game is in Game Pass. If you've never played it, if you like Metrovania games, if you like The Walking Dead, this game is for you. Please, on my recommendation, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I might even give it a 9.5 out of 10. I beat it multiple times on both the 360 and the Xbox One version. It's in Game Pass. Please download it. I told Daz to download it, and he told me I was not wrong. It is a fantastic title. Tequila Softworks is somewhere, again, a smaller company. A lot of people don't know them, but they make fantastic games. So now I want to move on to the. I got everybody on the panel, correct? I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to make sure, because sometimes I'm reading the chat, I'm reading the Twitter, I'm trying to figure everything out. Fallout 76 beta that will be coming out is going to be the full game, which is incredible. It's never been done by a company before, but more specifically, all of your process will carry over when the game launches. That has never been done in a beta. So, and that's what, for me personally anyway, is the reason why I don't play betas a lot, because you put 20 hours, 30 hours. Like for instance, when Destiny 1 beta came out, I got every character up to level 8, and I played it. When the game came out, I'm like, shit, I got to do this again. This changes the game, and I think that it's going to change the way companies do things. So Shady, I want to go to you. First of all, Fallout 76 is changing a lot of things. It's going to be you're going to be able to play with your friends. That's, again, a first for the series. But this beta coming out is going to save your process. And when you start the game, wherever you end it is where you're going to start. Do you think that other developers may have to get in line when they see the success of this beta is going to have?
I think there'll be a couple that do. I myself don't want to see it become the thing where the only way you everyone starts the game fresh on launch day typically. I'm not a big fan of only the guys that get into betas and put all the time into that can come in and have a lot of gear or an upgraded piece of equipment or something like that everyone else doesn't. I think it'll work in Fallout 76 just fine. It's not going to be a massive multiplayer online. I think I heard between 12 and 20 in the gigantic open world, which is bigger than Fallout 4. So it's still a relatively rare occurrence, I think, that you're going to be bumping into other human players, which I think is the better alternative than you see humans every other corner you're at, because they're just so unpredictable and trolly in video games, especially. That it would dampen the experience. Like I'm very much looking forward to this game. I find when I play Fallout, one of the biggest thoughts going on the whole time I'm playing was just how much more sweet would this be to have my friends being able to explore all these environments with me, and actually maybe be my mule too, so they can carry all my heavy equipment. But I think that the beta is going to be good. Even one of my best friends actually just told me that he doesn't want to play the beta because he doesn't want to sink in a whole bunch of his time into a world where he doesn't get to take any of it. And I was like, I had to tell him, actually, you get to take it all, and it's the whole game available. And his eyes just lit right up, and he said that he's going home to pre-order the game.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of people I think are going to play the beta more than they would have. I generally turn on a lot of betas just to get a taste of what it is and a hint as to what's to come. But I think with this one, I may actually play a lot of it because it is my chance to technically get in early, and I'm excited for the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is Fallout. If you're a fan, some people don't like the graphics. This is obviously a new engine, and it's probably going to look. It's created for this generation's hardware, so I think it's going to be fantastic. Eve, I want to go to you. I know you like multiplayer games. I don't know if you're a fan of Fallout or not, but the Fallout 76 having a beta that is going to allow you to not only play but keep your progress, I think is integral to people signing up for betas, because usually I play for an hour. There's no. I played for an hour and I shut it off. After the Destiny thing, I was like, that's it. I'm never doing this again because it didn't ruin Destiny 1 for me. But I put 30 hours into the beta. It was ridiculous how much time I put in. But this is something special where if you put 30 hours in, everything that you've gotten in that beta will, carry over to your character that you make. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm a massive Fallout fan. I've been playing
Excellent.
since the top down. I've done the top down 4-player Fallout game that came out, the Brotherhood of Steelwood. And you get to make your own little person and do your co-op, your couch co-op, because there wasn't online. I think it's really awesome. I absolutely think it's awesome, except for the fact that you do have to buy the full game. That's the only thing that's kind of irritating, because I don't want to have to. Like, I know you can cancel it after, but it's just the whole idea of that I have to buy the full game before I can actually be able to play the beta. But being able to carry over your character, that's great too. Except not for me, because I feel like whenever I'm starting off fresh and I'm playing a new game, I will fuck up. Excuse my language, but I'll screw up.
No, that's okay.
And I'll put points where I shouldn't be putting points. I'll be equipping things that I shouldn't even have to begin with. I don't want to take that messed up character into another game and play with it. I'm probably want to start off fresh with a good mindset on how the game should be played or how I actually enjoy playing it. I do love games having content that carries over. That's like, it's awesome. I think all betas should do that, because you do put in the time and you do put in the effort. And I could probably easily put in 30, 40 hours in the first few days of the beta release if I was playing it easily. But yeah, I don't want to pay for it. That's the only thing.
And also, if you don't like it, let's say, for instance, they just did something you didn't like. Now you're stuck with it, and you have to be mindful about, I have to remember that when the game comes out, not to play it for too long or not to play it at all. I got to call up customer service and get it refunded. Yeah, it's right. I see your point.
It's almost like it might as well be one of the game preview games. If they plan on having it almost in a beta stage where it's also the full game, then why wouldn't they just do that instead? I
agree. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. It just it does make sense. But you know what? It is a new take. There are some fans that will buy blindly, like, and I'm like that too. There's plenty of games that, like a Tomb Raider game, for instance, I would buy no matter what if I saw a screenshot or not. So if they offered that, I would do it.
Right. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the Gears 3 beta, the biggest thing is if you wanted early access, that I believe it was a 1-week early access right after the VIP access of the Gears 3 beta, was you had to buy Bulletstorm. I don't know how many of my friends bought Bulletstorm and never even touched it. Just to play the Gears 3 beta. So I'm sure that there'll be plenty of people who have no issue with it at all. But for me, because Fallout is taking a new approach on Fallout, it's very questionable.
Yeah, no, I see your point. Absolutely. But I want to go to you, dude. What is your take on this? Do you think that this is something, because trends happen and companies usually copy other companies when it comes to innovative ideas. I mean, that's just the way the industry works. We all aware of that. To me, anyway, I think that this is ingenious for several reasons. One, it's you're going to get more people to play your beta. I think anyway, because it's Fallout. It's it's a Fallout game. People are going to run to this thing like it's crazy. But now that you're offering the ideology of being able to, put 20 hours, 10 hours, whatever you put into it, whatever you find is going to be there day one when you launch this game. Do you think that other companies are going to follow suit?
Well, this is one of those questions that it's no really right and wrong, because it's going to be very divided for a lot of reasons, as we already saw. Prime Eva's, opinion, and now yours as well. But I think they will follow if it's successful. Obviously, like anything you see in any industry, if it works, people are going to try it because it's working for the other person or the other companies. just maybe whether it's curiosity or whether because they want to dive in and try something different. It doesn't really matter. The good thing though about this is that it's an option. You don't have to buy into it, right? I believe you have to buy it or whatever.
Yes.
So it's not something that they're putting a gun in your head. You better do it and you got to buy it. But for those who do spend the money, they're going to get rewarded, because one thing it does is if you're putting the time and the effort into playing this beta for hours upon hours, and you got a character built up, maybe not really OP, built up, but significantly where you like him and you don't want to really start from scratch, then I think it's a really consumer-friendly move for gamers that they did this, because it definitely brings more appeal to the beta, and it definitely bring more appeal to the gamer, because they're not going to feel like they're wasting their time. But like Shady pointed out earlier, it's kind of iffy too, because you don't want to have this scenario where a character comes in there when somebody that didn't try the beta comes in. It's too powerful, overpowering, and you have a disadvantage, or you know what I mean, within the game itself, the real launch. But then again, you'll have people that question, well, that was your choice not to buy into the beta. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's not really a question that has a wrong or right answer. I think it just depends on the gamer, your ideologies of gaming, or how you feel about it, and how, and if you feel comfortable with that method of what they're trying to do, of paying for a beta, where I think it's going to work for them in their favor, because they usually, most of the stuff they do, they always get applause. They never really get backlash, but that could be a bias thing. I don't know. But will others follow suit? I think if it does work, yes, you'll definitely see others follow suit. Yes. So, but again, it's all a trial and error. We have to keep trying in the gaming industry and with a lot of these companies, because they have to see what works, because most of these games don't make money right away. They're not all lucky to be the rock stars and the Activisions with the Call of Duties, So they have to figure out, they have to figure out a way to try to compensate for that. And that's the reason why a lot of companies, like the ones who did, the Murder Soul Suspect, they closed the same day they launched, because nobody pre-ordered it and it didn't sell. And it's very sad, because you don't want that for gaming, because it's just going to hurt it. Obviously, it's only going to be for the super rich if you're a developer,
Right.
That's why I think the indie space has become so impactful and so meaningful in this generation, starting on the 360 with the Xbox Live. Even though you were getting published, it's not self-published like it is now. So yeah, that's my take on it. I also want to add real quick, I am so terribly sorry, forgive me for the interruption, but I have to leave because I have an appointment.
I'm about to do outros now. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, nah, that's okay. Dude, we're heading in. We're clocking in at 2 hours. Usually, if I was on the Crossfire podcast, Crap the Gamer would be giving Mooch dirty messages on DMs that he's been sitting too long. But I don't want to. 2 hours I think is a strong podcast. We had first of all, I was able to get to all the topics. There was one I didn't get to. So but I don't want to break it down because I'm doing outros now, but we got to everything. Everyone had great points. The chat was on fire as usual. A big thank you to them. The show would not be the show if I didn't have almost 70 people watching. So that's a big deal for me. Thank you so much. But, so Shady, I want to go to you first, dude. You're new to the show, and you're recently new to Twitter. And I know that you were on a hunt to get more followers, and I think that you deserve it because for a couple of reasons. One, you're on RDX podcast, which is probably one of the biggest Xbox shows, and Dealer doesn't just let anyone on there. You have to pass a rigorous background check by Dealer. I love Dealer Gaming. I think the guy is awesome, and you're on his show, and that's a big deal. But you're also looking to get, followers on Twitter. Tell everyone where they could follow you, because I really do like what you bring. And when you speak, you're elegant about it. You're fair. You're not fanboyish in any way. And I think that does just, your character is displayed properly. Tell everyone where they could follow you, dude.
Well, thanks, Boom. That was one hell of description of myself. Some of it might be a little bit too polite, I might say there, but I'll take it. What are you going to do? Everyone who wants to can find me on Twitter. I am so shady at the Sesh Empire. That's one word, SESH Empire. We have a good time. I have a wicked sense of humor. Sometimes it can get a little dark, but I'm not out to offend anybody. I live and breathe games. I have been playing them for as long as I have a memory. They are the greatest thing for me. I couldn't imagine life without them. I appreciate the invite on the show. You are correct there. I am on RDX, which came out of nowhere. I used to just float around in people's chats for the better part of a year, and then all of a sudden found myself on such a fantastic show of RDX. It's a blessing. I enjoy it there. And I'm looking to branch out and, you know, stop by a lot of other shows and see what their community is like and say hi. And maybe they haven't seen me or heard of me yet. I come off abrasive sometimes, but I try not to be. Thank you very much. I had a good time.
Well, I'm glad. You know, I've never had an abrasive situation with you, and I follow you on Twitter. You follow me, and I see the way you respond to fans. I don't find it to be abrasive at all. And so I think you're doing well. So get out there and give this guy a follow. It would be greatly appreciated. And
real quick, Boom, quick before I forget. I am also on Xbot 448's podcast, the next podcast tomorrow night on his channel. So anyone who wants to come by, maybe hear a little bit more from the mind of So Shady, by all means, come and check it out. We would appreciate that as well.
Absolutely. Good. That's a good call, dude. I like getting people on here, you know, and just talk about where they've been. Hebot, I want to go to you next because you're also a new first timer on the show. First of all, dude, we've been on shows together. I really do like your point of view. Again, you're an old school gamer like me. You have a respect and an appreciation for where we came from. And I do like the way you break it down. You know, your points are never long. I know you said that earlier. Oh, man, I'm talking too long. Listen, again, this is a conversational podcast. This is what we do. This is what people tune in to listen to. And everyone likes everyone's opinion, whether it be good, bad, or otherwise. Tell everyone where they could find you, dude.
Thank you so much for that wonderful description of how you feel about me. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Boom, I told you I was looking forward to it. It's been an honor to join you on your show because I know you're still building your brand. And, you know I'm not going to bring you in any new fans or subscribers.
Oh, no, listen, dude, stop it.
Because most of the time people misconstrued me and they get hate or they get a misunderstanding of myself because of how vocal I may be or how, animated, if you will, I like to be. But it's because I'm very passionate. I never mean it in a bad way or disrespectful. My whole goal has always been to try to just educate the best I can based on my knowledge from what I've experienced through gaming. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with wonderful people like Primeval and So Shady. Nice to meet you for the first time. I wish you a lot of luck with this, and just be yourself is the best thing I can tell you, because then no way could ever tell you stemmed off anybody else, right? Good luck with anything you do.
I appreciate it.
Primeval is always elegant, like always. And Boom, keep doing what you do because I know you work hard. And I like that you always, not only are you try to be honest, but you're so polite and so kind and giving.
Thank
You show a lot of love to a lot of people, and that goes a long way. We all should be the same way or strive to be the same way, to be honest, because that's what gaming is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about social togetherness, and growing together.
Absolutely correct.
We're not going to always agree, obviously, and of things in gaming because it's not supposed to be that way. If not, it would be boring if we all think the same.
You don't want a hive mind. Everyone wants opinions,
right?
As long as they're not offensive, as long as they're, you again, when you crap on someone's opinion because you don't agree, it's wrong. You can have different opinions, and that's perfectly fine.
Right.
Do you have a Mixer channel? Do you have a Twitter account where people can come and follow you?
Well, I'm on YouTube.
Okay,
you can
great.
find me with Hebot8. It's a little channel. I do all kinds of stuff, everything from anything pop culture related and video game. From toy collecting, reviews, gameplay, retro gameplay, unboxings, everything. Podcasts, everything. And I also I'm also on Twitter as a Powerful Gamer. I'm also part of many different podcasts like. You can find me on the Microbox of X.
Nice,
podcast.
That's a good one.
Or the Direct X with Kaleidoscope and the gang over there. And you can find me also on Intro Media Gaming on the website and Facebook group, and also with Direct Gaming and the Infinite Rooms of the DX Mansion, which is also a nice YouTube channel and Facebook group. Those are with my friend and family over there, Dorian Bumpus. So you're more than welcome to follow me. But if you do, remember, much appreciated because I know no one has to, but you become part of my family. That's my saying.
Yes,
So
you
thanks
do always
again,
say
guys.
that. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you so much, guys, for allowing me to be part of your day and hearing my thoughts without calling me crazy. So, guys, take care.
All right. Well, thanks again, dude. And of course,
you.
last but certainly not least, the very lovely Eve. Tell everyone where they could find you, because I think you really bring a nice thought to the way you describe games. You're very funny, especially in the DMs that we have. I'm always laughing. Where could people find you? Oh, I think she's on mute.
No.
Okay, well, listen, you know what? I have all of Eve's.
No, I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
I just had a child to reprimand.
Yeah. Like I was saying, I love having you on the show. This is the fourth time you've been on. You, like I said, you always bring a lot of passion when you're talking about games. You're a true gamer. And your gender doesn't matter, because I know back in the days girls don't play games, but
oh no, my balls are just as big, if not bigger, than the guys I play with.
I love it. So tell everyone where they could find you, because you're on the show, but you know you're also very social on Twitter. If people want to follow you, where can they go?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Boom, very much for having me again, and I can't wait to be on again, hopefully, if you have me.
Absolutely. You'll definitely get another invitation for sure.
And also thank you to the guys on the panel too. It was great talking with you guys. If you want chat and viewers, you can follow me on Twitter at Primal Eve, and I'm also on Xbox, where you can find me also at Primal Eve. And then if you want to keep on hearing me talk, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, I am on the Game Dosage podcast, if I can speak, with Attack the Glitcher and Noof Nukem and some really great guys. So it would be great if you guys wanted to follow me there as well.
Yes, well, that's great. And again, it was great to have you on once again. And I just want to say a big thank you to the chat. You were awesome, as always. UK Dazarus, moderator of the universe, took care of some business. I saw that in the chat. I do appreciate it, because he is one of the few people I do trust. We have the same thought process when it comes to community. And a big shout out to him, because if you like UK Dazarus, head over to his channel on YouTube. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subs. And you know what? Look, let me say this. There are very few community members that I would lie in a puddle and let them walk over me, and he's one of them. No, seriously, he goes out of his way, so he wouldn't have to dirty his nice shoes. I'd lie in the puddle. That's how much I think of him. He's a brother from over the pond. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, but more a tremendous amount of appreciation for what he does. And it's not just my show he moderates. He moderates at least another half dozen, possibly more, and he's legit. And he deserves to get the 1,000 subs, because he does do a lot of good stuff on his channel. So head over there on my recommendation and give him a sub. But I just want to wish everyone a fantastic weekend. Thank you again for tuning in to this week's episode with on Breakfast with Boom. I just want to do a quick public service announcement. I decided that I was going to put on the shelf one of the Boom's Pop-Up podcast. I like the show, and it was getting a little bit of traffic, but it wasn't getting a lot of traffic. And, sometimes talking about the older games doesn't necessarily resonate with everyone. And since starting my channel in November of last year, I've been DM'd at least 200 times and asked when or if I was ever going to do an Xbox-centric channel. So I'm going to be removing Breakfast with Boom on Tuesdays. But on Thursday, starting next week, I have teamed up with a very good friend of mine, the Welsh Gamer, and I'm going to be launching on my channel the Xbox Factor podcast, where it's going to be a 60-minute show, 4 to 5 topics, and it's going to be all Xbox. It is my preferred system. Obviously, I don't have to say it again, but I support multiple consoles, and I'm proud of that. But I also enjoy talking about Xbox. So this show, if you're an Xbox fan, is going to be for you. And I know I've gotten requests from numerous people in the community to do this. So on their request, We're going to launch this next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everyone tunes in. And once again, thank you to my panel. Thank you to the chat. Oh, and Cat Daddy Fat Stacks, $5 super chat at the last minute. I appreciate that very much, dude. Listen, you don't understand how much it really humbles me when someone donates to the channel. That is such a big deal. So thank you for that. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe. And more importantly, be nice with your fellow gamers.